Hey everybody, Mike Sullivan with Born to Shine. Today we have an awesome guest. His name is Rick Surrency, and he is the superintendent, the top dog, top chief, head honcho over at Putnam School District in beautiful sunny Florida. Rick, thanks for being with us, man.
Glad to be here, Mike, and thanks for inviting me.
Yes, sir. So, what was it like? What was your journey like to become a superintendent of such a big district?
Well, first of all, I'm in my 46th year in education. So I actually started in the 1970s.
Oh,
So
wow,
I've kind of seen a
cool.
lot of transition, and I started off as an instructional assistant, teacher, coach, dean, assistant principal. I was a principal for 10 years, and now I'm actually an elected superintendent. In
Hmm.
Florida, a number of our superintendents here actually are elected officials where we actually have to run an election. So I was elected in 2016, reelected in 2020, and about to run for reelection in 2024. But I have not had as much fun as I'm having now as a superintendent, just because, you know, I feel like everything I've done up to now is kind of giving me knowledge and skills and wisdom to do what I need to do now. So it's been a journey.
Well, now, the cool thing is correct me if I'm wrong, Rick, you won an award, Superintendent of the Year, right?
Yep, the Florida State Superintendent of the Year for 2023, and I'm very honored for that. A lot of deserving people could have gotten it, but anyway, I was selected and had opportunities to really get out and talk about a lot of things that are near and dear to people. And it kind of gives you a platform to share some things that are going on in our schools. And
Yeah.
as a matter of fact, next week I get to go to Washington and actually visit with the other superintendents of the year, and just to get to share what's going on with superintendents in other states.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. That's going to be really cool. Yeah, it's beautiful up there, and that'll be good. You guys all kind of come together, have a
Sure.
like a mastermind meeting, and yeah, that's really cool. Well, congratulations on Superintendent of the Year. And
Thank you,
um,
Mike.
when you were K-12, because Born to Shine is all about supporting kids, right? Supporting K through 12 students, really setting them up for success, helping them to believe in themselves. Um, and when you were K through 12, was there anything that you struggled with, Rick?
Well, coming up, I mean, had a lot of the same similar challenges. Now, I just, back in growing up in the 70s, I know I sound like an old fogey, but, you know, we didn't have social media. We did not have a lot of
Yeah.
the distractions that people have now. We're, to me, just a lot more active. Man, we drank out of water hoses back in those days.
That's awesome.
So, rode bikes behind mosquito sprayer trucks and all kind of dangerous stuff, but we survived. And I don't know. I think today's children in K-12 have so many more challenges than we did back in my day. And
Mhm.
not that people didn't have issues back in my day. I just think the being isolated and just having access to things that we would never have access to. The whole technology world has really opened up some good and bad. So I think we just have to be aware of that. I mean, technology is good. We just have to be aware of what's going on out there, and just to try to give our kids balance. I mean, that's I always say to my kids and my grandkids, you got to be involved in sports clubs or something, because it builds self-esteem. If you can belong to a group of other like individuals that have the same goals and aspirations, to me that helps build you up and helps to give you purpose. But I've seen, especially as a principal, I've seen kids that have been isolated who have you could tell they're bullied because they set off by themselves in the cafeteria, and they're just targets. And we really try to reach out and try to engage those kids, mentor those kids, get them to belong to some other group. So they do have a healthy self outlook. And so I just think today our kids are really battling with some things that we're really trying to navigate how we're going to overcome that.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Different times for sure. Sure, absolutely. And I think Einstein said something to the effect of, "We can't think the same way." I'm going to butcher the saying, but it's something to the effect of, "The problem can't be solved using the same type of thinking that created it." Right. So as
Right.
times change, we need to really think differently and think fresh, right, and bring in some new support, new ideas of ways to support kiddos. And um, yeah, and what are you guys doing at your district that's helping your kids with their mental health in addition to, the standard, which is school psychologists and, SEL programs in house? Like we've heard that 1,000 times. So I'm just curious about maybe something a little different or what you would like to bring in more of.
Well, we have a resiliency initiative here in Florida. So we're really, offering some resiliency programs and, things to kind of help kids overcome those challenges. But I'll tell you, I had a meeting with one of our high school principals yesterday, as a matter of fact, and it's really something that really interested me was, and she's a brand new principal, but she's actually started a way of mentoring kids on a full-time basis.
Hmm.
And she actually has staff members. These are like instructional assistants, and I think one teacher, full-time teacher. She stations them in hallways, in each of the hallways in the high school, and they have a mobile desk,
Hmm.
and they're out there on call the entire day. And those kids, they can come out there and meet with the mentor anytime. I mean, it's a significant adult they can talk to. Matter of fact, she says when next year, when the grade levels move up, she will roll that mentor up with them.
Hmm.
So they've built that relationship. Um, to me, it has had a huge impact. Matter of fact, she showed me data where this time last year, they have half the fights that they had last year.
Hmm.
Of course, they had another principal, other administrators, but this new principal recognizes the fact that the way we're going to help kids overcome their challenges is have a significant adult available who they can go talk to and help solve their problems. And to me, that's brilliant. That's just using your people and giving these kids an opportunity to talk it out.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're going to go fight it out or do self harm or whatever the case might be. So that's just one example of one thing we're doing in one of our schools. But there are a number of things that we're doing. Um, I think the mentoring is real good. We have the other things here in Florida where kids can pick up the phone or have an app and contact somebody and people on call 24/7. But I think that's kind of when things have gotten really bad, that's what they do before they harm themselves.
Hmm.
But we need to pour into our kids, be more proactive,
Yeah.
try to build that self-esteem, try to get them involved in something where they can feel good about themselves. Like I said before.
Yeah, yeah. Isolation is the killer, right? Yeah, and it's actually I was listening to a podcast this morning, and the pastor was talking about that. It's just human nature. It's human nature for us when we feel hurt or confused or struggling, we just isolate, we retreat. It's just it's counterintuitive to do the opposite, right? To go and be around people, but he was encouraging instead of to retreat and isolate and put walls up to protect ourselves, right? Which is really harming ourselves. And that, because that just has a downward projectile when we're all alone. Um, like what you said, to surround ourselves with like-minded people. So if it's, a kiddo likes music, awesome, get in a band, play drums, play guitar, play some keys, rock it out. Or if they're an athlete, you like basketball, cool. There's a basketball team or a club or volleyball or swimming or surfing or whatever you guys, skydiving, whatever you do out there in,
But,
in
Mike,
Jacksonville.
we have such a population of All the athletes and all those kids who take part in sports, I think they're already kind of inclined to be around other people. They enjoy, that kind of activity. But you've got a whole group of kids who might be a little more in tune with technology, who might be a little more self isolated,
Mm-hmm.
who we've been able to reach out and get them to be involved in things like robotics,
Mm.
um, esports,
Yeah, absolutely.
right? So I think we have to really think about, make sure we look at that entire spectrum, because
Yeah,
sports are great,
right. It's not
but
everything.
and I'll tell you something else. I actually, one of my kids was involved in musical theater. And do you know, a lot of those kids that I've seen over my career who've been involved in acting and singing and musical theater are really very much introverted, and they're able to get on the stage and become somebody else.
Sure.
And it's kind of interesting that it really attracts those kids. So again, that's just something else we provided to give as many different kids opportunities as possible.
Yeah, and that's wonderful. And the interesting thing that comes to mind is even with all of that, which is wonderful, the kids still struggle. And I can even speak. There's Olympic athletes that I can't remember her name. She was a gold medalist. She backed out,
I
and
saw
she's
that.
one of the
I know.
top. Yeah, mental illness, right? Same with the swimmer. He struggles with suicide ideation. He's won tons of gold medals, and so it, sometimes it's even deeper than that connection that we talk about. That's a great start, but even still, there's people with the right group, with the right people, with all everything that they're still really struggling. And I mean, it's an epidemic now. That's why just having additional programs, giving kids more tools is so essential right now. Without it, they're
Well,
just
I think
like dry, dry.
I think we need to convey the message. Matter of fact, I've got a son-in-law who is actually a mental health therapist. So we talk about this a lot, but we need to convey to the students that we serve, it's okay not to be okay. I mean, it's
Absolutely.
okay to come across as, hey, I have an issue,
Yeah.
I can't handle it, I need help.
Yeah.
So I think we are doing a better job at doing that, and not, what do you call it, stigmatizing mental health.
Destigmatizing it. Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Right,
it's great. You got to talk about something to get
right,
get help. So
right.
yeah,
So I think kids are coming to terms with that, and I think we're going to see more kids, especially as they get with other kids and form those bonds, and even adults. I think people will come out and say, "Hey, so and so is having an issue. Somebody might want to go check on them." That
yeah,
kind of thing. So,
yeah. That's wonderful, man. Rick, well, thank you so much for sharing time with us. Thanks for sharing your heart with us, and just appreciate you making time for us, man.
Mike, I've enjoyed it, and thank you again for making time for me to be here today. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.